welcome to the Zombie Story Zone. Tonight, we dive into a tale that turns a night of music and celebration into a fight for survival. Imagine this, thousands of fans gathered at one of the biggest music festivals of the year, their energy electric, the music booming until something sinister begins to unfold. What starts as a party quickly spirals into chaos as the crowd realizes they're surrounded by the undead. Will our heroes make it out alive, or will they fall victim to the doomed concert? If you love heart-pounding zombie thrillers, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more thrilling tales, and share your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing your feedback, theories, and ideas for future stories. So, let's jump in. The nightmare is about to begin.
All the music.
The air was electric. Thousands of people crowded the sprawling open field, all buzzing with excitement for Bass Mayhem, one of the most anticipated music festivals of the year. Huge speakers flanked the stage, ready to blast the pulsating bass that would keep the crowd moving until dawn. Neon lights reflected off swaying bodies, faces painted, and hands raised in unison. Among the crowd were best friends and festival veterans Ava and Liam. They had arrived hours early to secure a spot close to the stage. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow across the festival grounds, and anticipation was at its peak. "I can't believe we're finally here," Ava shouted, her voice barely audible over the music. "Worth every penny." Liam grinned back, swaying to the beat. As the first set wrapped up, the crowd cheered wildly. Suddenly, Ava spotted something strange out of the corner of her eye, a figure stumbling awkwardly through the crowd near the far end of the grounds. She shook her head, assuming it was just an overly enthusiastic fan who'd had a bit too much to drink. But then, one by one, more figures appeared, all moving in the same jerky, unnatural way. Ava's excitement shifted to a gnawing sense of unease. "Liam, do you see that?" she asked, pointing toward the strange figures in the distance. Liam squinted, trying to focus. "Probably just people messing around," he said, though there was Ava and Liam froze, watching in horror as more of the staggering figures no. Zombies attack people indiscriminately. Panic swept over the field like a wave, and the once joyous crowd quickly turned into a chaotic frenzy of screaming and fleeing bodies. "Run!" Ava screamed, grabbing Liam's arm. The two pushed their way through the mob, dodging terrified festival goers and avoiding the grasping hands of the infected. They spotted a nearby food tent and ducked inside, hoping it would provide temporary shelter. Inside, a small group of others huddled, their faces pale with fear. A thick silence hung in the air, punctuated only by distant screams and the chaotic sounds of the festival unraveling outside. "We have to get out of here," Liam whispered, glancing at the thin walls of the tent. "This place won't hold them back." Ava nodded, swallowing her fear. "We should try to make it to the parking lot. If we can get to your car, we can drive out of here." A young woman beside them spoke up, her voice trembling. "There are hundreds of people in the lot. What if it's overrun?" But before they could respond, the sound of ripping fabric filled the tent. The flimsy walls tore open as a zombie lurched inside, its face twisted and bloodied, eyes vacant and hungry. Ava grabbed a metal tray from a nearby counter and slammed it against the zombie's head, buying them a few seconds to escape through the back of the tent. They stumbled out into the open, desperately scanning their surroundings. The field that had been a joyful festival ground hours before was now a nightmare landscape. Abandoned food carts were overturned, merchandise scattered, and the once vibrant crowd now a panic stampede. "Come on," Liam shouted, pulling Ava along. They dodged through the scattered tents and bodies, moving toward the edge of the grounds. As they ran, they encountered pockets of people fighting off zombies with whatever they could find: tent poles, folding chairs, even torn pieces of fencing. Liam and Ava reached a fenced-off area near the entrance, where a few dozen survivors had barricaded themselves behind a line of porta-potties. Among them was one of the festival staff members, a tall, muscular man named Eddie, who was holding a makeshift spear. "You too, over here," Eddie shouted, waving them over. They scrambled to the barricade, ducking behind it as more zombies lurched toward the fence. "Come on," Liam shouted, pulling Ava along. They dodged through the scattered tents and bodies, moving toward the edge of the grounds. As they ran, they encountered pockets of people fighting off zombies with whatever they could find: tent poles, folding chairs, even torn pieces of fencing. Liam and Ava reached a fenced-off area near the entrance, where a few dozen survivors had barricaded themselves behind a line of porta-potties. Among them was one of the festival staff members, a tall, muscular man named Eddie, who was holding a makeshift spear. "You too, over here," Eddie shouted, waving them over. They scrambled to the barricade, ducking behind it as more zombies lurched toward the fence. "We're sitting ducks here," Ava said, catching her breath. "We need a plan." Eddie nodded, his jaw clenched. "The main gate's overrun, but there's an emergency exit on the north side. Problem is, it's a long way, and these things are everywhere. We don't have a choice," Liam said firmly. "We go now, while they're distracted." Eddie rallied the others. "All right, listen up. We're moving toward the north exit. Stick together, and don't stop for anything. If someone falls behind, keep going." The grim reality of his words settled over the group like a heavy shroud. With Eddie leading the way, the group made their way through the twisting paths of the festival grounds, keeping low and quiet. But as they passed the main stage, they heard the chilling moans of dozens of zombies gathered around it, drawn to the last remnants of music still playing faintly through the speakers. Ava glanced back and froze. One of the zombies was a famous singer she recognized. Even in his undead state, his wild hair and leather jacket were unmistakable. She felt a pang of horror and sadness. All of these people had been here for the same reason as her and Liam, excited for a night of music, and now they were mindless monsters. "Keep moving," Liam hissed, snapping her out of her thoughts. They made it halfway to the north exit when Eddie spotted a narrow alleyway between two large equipment trailers. "Shortcut," he called. The group funneled into the alleyway, pressing close to avoid being seen. But halfway through, disaster struck. One of the group members tripped over a loose cable and fell with a shout, catching the attention of nearby zombies. Eddie tried to pull him up, but the zombies were on them too quickly. "Run," he shouted to the rest of the group, sacrificing himself to buy them precious seconds. Ava, Liam, and a handful of others sprinted out of the alley, their hearts pounding. They could see the emergency exit just ahead, its red lights a beacon in the darkness. But zombies now flooded the path between them and freedom. Liam scanned the area frantically and spotted a row of parked golf carts used by the staff. "There," he pointed. They climbed into the nearest cart, Liam in the driver's seat, slamming his foot down on the pedal. The cart sputtered to life and lurched forward, weaving through the chaos as zombies clawed at the sides. Ava held onto the side, her eyes wide with terror as they plowed through the massive bodies, dodging grasping hands and bloodied faces. The exit was in sight, and for a brief moment, hope surged within her. They were going to make it, but just as they approached the exit, a final obstacle blocked their path: a massive pileup of abandoned cars. Liam swerved, barely avoiding a collision, and the cart screeched to a halt inches away from the barrier. Desperation clawed at Ava's chest. What now? Liam scanned the area, his eyes landing on a nearby truck with the keys still in the ignition. "That's our ride." The remaining survivors sprinted for the truck, piling inside just as a new wave of zombies closed in. Liam jammed the truck into gear and floored the gas pedal, crashing through the final barricade and speeding down the road. As they drove away, Ava looked back at the concert grounds, now a twisted, bloody landscape of terror and death. The music festival had become a nightmare they would never forget, a battle for survival etched in their memories forever. For Ava, Liam, and the few who had survived, the world had changed. The music had stopped, but their lives would never be the same again. And somewhere in the darkness, they knew the infection was spreading. This was just the beginning.